What is up, everyone? This is Tuzlo, aka Seabass, and today I'm going to be doing a timing chain cover gasket job on a 2006 Corolla XRS. Haven't done one of these in a while, the timing chain cover gasket jobs, because I've kind of been pushing them over to Clayton's side because he could use some money at the moment. So I've been letting him take the more recent jobs. So if you guys don't follow Clayton on Instagram, go ahead and give him a follow. He does a lot of side jobs on cars, mainly Celicas, Corollas, and Matrix, and Pontiac Vibes as well, since they're the same vehicle. But today we're going to be doing it on this Corolla XRS. I've been getting so many questions. Can I do this with vehicles with the engine still in the car? You can do it with the engine still in the vehicle, but it is a bit harder to do because you have to remove the exhaust manifold off the engine, or there's another method. If you want to modify your air injection tube, this tube right here, you can cut it right there where the timing chain cover meets the engine block. You can cut it in the middle, and then that pipe will come off from the side of the 2ZZ. And you can use like a rubber coupler to just join them together, and you should be fine. I've been told that this is okay to do in California vehicles, but because this isn't going to be my vehicle, I'm selling it, I'm going to keep it simple as possible for me. So I'm just going to remove the exhaust manifold. You have two bolts at the bottom that meet to the mid pipe, and then you have all the nuts behind the 2ZZ itself. I believe they're 14 millimeter, but in order to take those off first, we have to remove the exhaust manifold cover. You have one bolt right there. You have another one right there. Another one right there. And another one right here. So once you remove those four bolts, the cover should slide out, and we will have access to all the exhaust manifold nuts. And because this is an XRS model, we have the strut bar in the way, so we can't really remove the valve cover without removing the strut bar. So kind of make sure you do this process while the vehicle is lowered, because if the vehicle is raised, the strut bar is just, the strut itself is just going to fall down through, and then you're going to have someone to be able to lift it up while you put the nuts back on. So I already got that situated, so I'm going to remove the other side. You got three 12 millimeter nuts, and the strut bar should completely come out. So because we are going to be removing the alternator from the 2ZZ, that involves the 12 volts from the battery, so we're going to want to unplug our battery just to be on the safe side. The coolant is going to drain out from there, so you might as well do a coolant flush from your vehicle and at the same time do the oil change. You don't have to do the oil change, but it's strongly recommended because sometimes whenever you're cleaning the timing chain cover, some debris might fall into the oil pan, and it might get stuck in there, and with the oil change, it could probably come out with the oil as it's draining out from the engine block. So it's preferred that you do the oil change, but you don't need to do it. This thing's just puking oil. Puking oil. Look at that. All that gunk. So it's most likely from the timing chain cover gasket with a vehicle with this many miles. So might as well just do it for the new owner. So these are going to be the exhaust manifold bolts. They're spring type bolts. Oh, let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So this bolt right here, it's a 14 millimeter bolt. It's the one that joins the exhaust manifold to the mid pipe. I think we could see the other one over here on this side. Yep, there you go. Hopefully they're not rusted, and I'm able to take them out and then put back in. And then we have a bracket right here. This is only 14 millimeter bolt. We also have to go ahead and remove that to get the exhaust manifold off the engine block. So let's continue on. So we went ahead and took off those bolts. Really easy to take off if you have a California vehicle, but watch out if you have a vehicle full of rust that's from the East Coast. So we went ahead and removed that bolt that's right there, attached from the exhaust manifold to that rear bracket. That's what holds the exhaust manifold. It gives it like an extra support, I guess. Check out this oil leak though. Holy crap. Nasty, 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 dude. So I already went ahead and removed the 4 12mm bolts. You can see, and the cover should come off. Look at that. So the cover comes off, and then we have access to the bolt, to the nuts. So we have, or they're bolts, I should say. Yeah, they're bolts. So the end one is a nut, bolt, 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 and then the other one should be a nut right there. So it's easier to get the valve cover off than to try to struggle to get the exhaust shield out of there. So this is already one of the steps you take to do this job. So you have to remove the valve cover to have enough clearance and space to work on the back of the 2ZZ. It's easier that way. So I went ahead and removed the valve cover, and my God, this thing is ridiculously clean. This thing is so clean. It's seen its oil changes throughout its whole life. So I'm actually really, really happy and impressed that this is really clean. So let's keep going forward. As I said, we removed the valve cover. If you've already seen my other videos, you kind of already know how to remove the valve cover. Just take off all the bolts around the valve cover, the coil packs, this harness, same thing that goes to the power steering pump. So you just move it over to the side, and voila, we got access to everything. So now we should have enough room to slide our shield out of here. And presto, shield is out. It gives us more space to work and get that exhaust manifold unbolted from the engine block. So I managed to remove all the hardware from the exhaust manifold, and I managed to do that with my swivel head, I guess an extension. What size is this? It doesn't really say the size, but got a decent size extension and a 14mm. You can do the nuts, you can do it with just the deep end, the deep one, because the stud pokes through, so you can't really use a shallow one. You have to use a deep end one. And then for the middle bolt, you could get it easily with just the regular 14mm, this long one. And then for the 2 back ones, the ones right here, so for this one right here and then this one right here, you need to use the extension with the longer socket, just so you could gain access to them, because the runners are kind of in the way. But looks like we got everything off, so this exhaust manifold is ready to remove. We just have to focus on the air injection pump right here and stuff. So let's go ahead and start removing those, which involve this plug right here. We undo this plug, and then we have 2 12mm bolts right here. Those 2, you want to take those 2 off. Then we also want to unplug this right here. So we unplug that from this right here. And then I already went ahead and removed that tube that goes from here to the air injection pump. And that should that should be able to get this out of the way. But we also have to take off these, or just slide them over, so that this area, this thing right here, can come off. So I managed to get here with some pliers from Harbor Freight. These 90-degree ones, pretty good tool. I love it. And so that's already out of the way. So this pipe should slide right out from that coupler. So we loosen those 2 bolts, and if we pull on it and just twist, should be able to slide right out. So there we go. Got this out of the way. So we're gonna go set it down. And so the last thing to remove to get this exhaust manifold pipe out of the way is that 12mm bolt right there. It's underneath the pipe from that device we just removed. It's right underneath it. It's pretty sure it's a 12mm bolt. So now that the bolt is removed from the hole right there, we have to remove our serpentine belt tensioner because the pipe goes in between the serpentine belt tensioner and the block itself. So we need to get this 12mm off and then the 17mm that's right there. But we first have to take off our serpentine belt, which is operated by a 19mm turning point right here to loosen the tension and remove the serpentine belt. So let's go ahead and do that. So I made a whole video about this because I always hear people's stories about stripping that 19mm hex on the tensioner. So my best tool to use is this angled Harbor Freight Pittsburgh wrench 3/8. It's angled with a shallow 19 6-point. If you use a wrench, a 12-point, you're going to strip that no matter what. I don't care if it's a snap-on, you're gonna strip it. So that's my best tool. And now we can remove the serpentine belt completely. In order to get to that 17mm bolt for the bottom of the serpentine belt tensioner, we have to raise up the engine because it's going to hit the frame of the vehicle. If you see, it's going to hit the frame of the vehicle. So in order to avoid that, we can go ahead and start removing our engine mount, which is right here. We have two 14mm bolts right here, and then we have one right there, and another one right there. And then we have two nuts on the bottom side right there. So one's right there, and then on the other side, the other one's there. So let's go ahead and start taking that off. So the point of removing the engine mount is so that we can lift up the engine with our jack to clear the frame of the vehicle to get that 17mm bolt out of the engine. And with a little bit of finessing and persuasion, we can get that motor mount out of the way. Oh my gosh. Come on. Can I get this out? There we go. Starting to sound like Scotty Kilmer now with all the groaning and grunting. There you go. Motor mount is out. So we're going to go set that aside for now. Now we have plenty of space to get to that bolt and get it out of there. I found it easier to remove that harness out of the way. If you see right there, there's a little clip that goes inside that hole. You can get it from the wheel well side, squeeze it so you can pop it off and raise that harness up so that a socket fits through right there. And this is where I'm telling you guys to go through, right there. Check this out, guys. This is really bad. Holy crap, dude. So we're gonna hit this with purple power so I can get majority of the gunk off, but this is just how I guess critical this gets if you don't pay attention to it. So try to do your timing chain cover gasket, guys. So with the serpentine belt tensioner out of the way, we are finally able to raise up the exhaust manifold. And check it out, guys. It's already out of the way. So you can leave it right here, just chilling out. You can leave it hanging there, and look, you can now remove your timing chain cover gasket, or your cover, I should say. So from here on forward, you want to reference to my Celica video, the timing chain cover gasket one. It's pretty simple. All we're doing is just removing the alternator, the AC compressor, just the I guess the shittier part of the Corolla Matrix and Vibes section is the AC compressor. You can't really remove the headlight to put the compressor right here like we usually do with the Celica. So what we typically do is we zip tie the AC compressor to like the radiator, or right here the frame right here. We zip tie it so that it's out of the way when we're taking out and putting back in the timing chain cover. So I'm gonna keep going as I should, and I guess I'll keep up with you guys and I'll let you guys know how I'm going. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the alternator. You got a 12 on the top and then a 14 on the bottom right there. You can see it, 14. And then we want to remove our water pump first, the four 10mm bolts, and then we have access to the three 14mm bolts that are holding the bracket for the motor mount. Then you got another 14 over here. So you're gonna want to go in that order. And once you got the alternator and water pump removed, then we can tackle the AC compressor down there, which is held on by three 12mm long bolts. So I went ahead and removed the 10mm nut right here, the connector for the alternator, and then I believe that one is for your knock sensor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that one's for your knock sensor. So, and then we took off the AC one right there. So then that leaves us with the harness being able to come up over so that we can slide out our alternator out of the way. And so be careful not to break anything. Set that aside. Looks like it's an aftermarket one. And then we have access to the 12mm bolts right there. And then you have another one right here. And then right there. They're pretty gunked up in oil, so can't really see them, but I'm pointing them out for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys a link in the description for the continuation of the video. You can reference off the Celica one. Kind of didn't feel like recording the same thing again if you could just reference off the Celica one. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a picture of which video I'm talking about. It's a great video. It's helped out a lot of people, so don't forget to check it out. So I got the timing cover off. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it all up, and finally went back to Clayton's house. I accidentally left this at his house. It's pretty much just a bag of gaskets for the timing chain cover job. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean it up with some purple power and some wire brushes. You already know, clean as a whistle. Clean, clean, clean. So we're gonna go ahead and put all our gaskets and seals and go from there. So we're gonna go ahead and start up the car. Everything is clean on it. So already did the oil change, and I am bleeding the cooling system right now. So we're gonna go ahead and slap on the wheel, to put the wheel back on and get the car back into the street. What's up? New XRS owner. New XRS owner right here. There it goes. I'll see. Let's go sleep. Come on. I gotta go to work tomorrow.